Welcome, gentlemen, to my full Gyrocopter guide. In this video, you're gonna learn everything that you need to know about Gyrocopter, why he's strong at this meta, what actually boosts him, and why this guy has a 90% win rate on solo queue on 9000 MMR with that hero. If you want to know how exactly he did it, stay till the end. I hope you enjoyed. Alright, let's get into the strengths and weaknesses of Gyrocopter. The strengths of Gyrocopter are that he's farming incredibly fast. His farming speed has really very little matches. There might be Luna that can keep up with him, and that's it. So I think just from the pure build, Gyrocopter is one of the quickest farmers out there in the game. He also has one of the highest damage. Flak canon enables him to deal out a ton of damage to infinitely many units as long as they are in a certain area around of him. His teamfight abilities are amazing. Not only does Flak canon deal a lot of damage, but his ulti allows them to be slowed and allows you to close the gap and to have damage from a further range. And you're also able to really nuke out people and get vision of them. And the next thing is that you have your rocket, which enables you to close the gap, to stop people from chasing you, to look for kills on the map, to initiate even. So you have a really great toolkit to teamfight even early on into the game. Another strength is that you're a great pusher. The whole idea of Gyrocopter is that you gain your net worth and then you push faster than they are ready to defend the base. And through this mechanic, Gyro is one of the heroes that can really solo carry the games. Your ability to gain net worth is not that much dependent on your teammates. Of course, it's nice if you have stacks and if you don't lose all the other lanes, but you can just boost your net worth like crazy and then step out onto the map as an absolute unit and destroy them with your items and then take the objectives that you want to take almost completely alone. The weaknesses of Gyrocopter are that he has a low mobility. He doesn't have any escape abilities, he doesn't have a blink, he doesn't have a dodge, so he's really susceptible to people closing the gap on him and then locking him down. He also heavily relies on his item timings. His whole idea of stomping the enemies and getting on top of them is only possible if they don't manage to build items that stop him from doing what he wants to do. So getting your item timing right is especially important on a hero like Gyrocopter. He also struggles against split push. Since he has a low mobility, he's really bound to be at a single place in the map. He can push down one lane and run all the way through it and get the tower slowly and then approach the high ground. But he's really struggling if he plays against, I don't know, Nature's Prophet or Anti-Mage, just heroes that basically punish him by being at one area and are able to trade objectives, to trade the buildings, or to force him into different areas of the map where he doesn't want to be. He's also really bad against heroes that have the ability to disable him over long ranges. This could go from Invoker Tornado to a tree ulti or a Nature's Prophet root through his ulti, or it could be a Bane. There are many things that can stop Gyrocopter from hitting enemy heroes if they just have the range to get out of his attack range and stop him from using his satanic and other items to kill you and get lifesteal. So you want to be aware of those. We're gonna skip right into them. On the left side you can see heroes that are really good if they're in the team of Gyrocopter, and those heroes are Dream Protector, Pangolier, Kunkka. As you can see, all those heroes, what they have in common is they either save Gyrocopter, like on the bottom you see Venge and you see Oracle, so he can sustain and he can press Satanic and he can heal up, or they have some sort of teamfight ability that enables him to push out his damage. If you have a tree, a Pango, or Kunkka, or even Invoker for that matter, you have the ability to create a lot of chaos, and in that chaos, people cannot focus on Gyrocopter, and Gyrocopter can just push out all the damage he wants without being scared of having to deal with any enemies, since Pangolier roll or tree ulti interrupts him anyways. And if you look to the right side, we see all the heroes that Gyrocopter is especially bad against. And And if we look to the right side, we can see all the hero Gyrocopter is especially bad against. Nyx Assassin is really popular, especially as a mid lane in this patch, and the damage is just crazy. Nyx Assassin has a much earlier timing than Gyrocopter and can stop him from farming, so this is one of the weaknesses. Lifestealer can close the gap, and the Rocket and your ult both are meaningless against Lifestealer. Nature's Prophet has a split push ability, and then we talked about Invoker and Bane before. You just close the gap towards the hero. Chen has a early timing, Bristleback is difficult to take down, and Io is just annoying because you can save heroes or you can relocate into them, you can split push with it. So all the things we talked about make a lot of sense here. By the way, those stats and those datas are from the Dota Pro Tracker. If you want to see how I find my replays, if you want to see how I do research in order to get through the items and stuff like that, let me know in the comments. I would be happy to share that. Let's go through the items. You start with the tangos, the branch, and then the blade. Your idea is not to go for the Wraith Bands, but instead you go for the Falcon Blade. You can get a stick in between, but once you have the Falcon Blade and the Power Threads, you have the sustain for the laning stage and you have constant mana to use your abilities, to spam it and just boost net worth in the jungle. After this, you usually go for the Crystallis or the Aghanims. I've seen many people go Aghanims first if they're having a good game. I think Crystallis is a really great farming tool as well. Doesn't really matter, I think, which one you go first, but you're definitely gonna need both in the game. And then you want to have the BKB. And then your basic kit on Gyrocopter is already there. You have a ton of damage and you have a lot of farming capabilities. For the late game, you're jumping into Satanic, Daedalus, Butterfly, or Skadi. Satanic is a must, and then you want to build damage and sustain. With the Satanic and the Flak cannon, your HP regeneration is just incredible. You can get out of the worst situations with pressing just a single button, and remember it also has a dispel. Damage in any form is the last thing that you need. You need the damage to kill enemies and to finally take the towers and just get that little edge that pushes you over the strengths of the enemy, and then you can finish games really early. Situational, you could also build a shard, or if you're 6 slotted already, you can get the shard. Sometimes people buy Sanj and Yasha if they feel like they really need the early status resistance and the movement speed is nice as well. Hurricane Pike could be nice if they have some roots or things you want to get out of. Monkey King Bar if you play against Phantom Assassin, even though I think your item timing is earlier than Phantom's Assassin's Power Spike, so if you get your core items before that, you don't even need it. Blink Dagger could be an extension item, and you can also sell your Power Threads at some point to get TP boots. The skill build is pretty much straightforward. You have your homing missile at level 1. This just enables you to secure ranged creeps. You set it on the enemy in the laning stage. What I've seen people do is go Flak cannon from the beginning, and then they just spam it every second they get it. After it, you definitely want to get the Flak cannon. You just want to max its ability as soon as possible because it's going to be your main farming tool. And from this, we get the Rocket Barrage, and then we level the homing missile. If you want to play more active, you can get the homing missile, I think. This is a great opportunity to get into teamfights early. Of course, we get the ult in between, and yeah, that's basically it. So you want to max Flak cannon, get some points in homing missile, get some points in homing missile, and get some points in the Rocket Barrage. For the talents, most of the people go 200 health. I think 200 health is great because this sustain that you have is the most important thing if you want to push objective buildings. You don't want to die, you want to stay alive as long as possible, and you're a tank anyways, and you're stationary and you're killing people and forcing objectives in a small circle, so you don't really need the movement speed. Black cannon attacks, I think it's a core, you have to go for this. I think the other talent will be a support talent. Then the Flak cannon damage also makes sense, you just double down on the Flak cannon. And then on the top, I think the 6-second Flak cannon cooldown is even better than the 3 times cooldown. Gyro's first ability is Rocket Barrage. It launches a salvo of rockets at nearby enemy units. It lasts for 3 seconds, and during that time you have an increased slow resistance. The units that are damaged are random. There are no priorities in the search radius. It doesn't hit invisible enemies, or enemies in Fog of War. The total damage that can be dealt on level 4 are 720, and with the talent it's up to 1140, assuming that all of the rockets hit and before calculating in any magic resistance that the enemy might have. You can upgrade this talent on level 10 with plus 30 movement speed during Rocket Barrage, or with level 20 plus 14 Rocket Barrage damage. Rocket Barrage cancels channeling abilities, although you can just avoid this if you go to the options and then set this one active. Channeled abilities require hold or stop. I can highly recommend that anyways. It stacks multiplicatively with other slow resistant sources. The movement speed increase talent does not update the current active instant. However, the damage per rocket increase talent immediately updates the current active instance. Homing missile seeks a target and stuns the unit by impact.
I dare you to run.
Of course.
Bingo.
It has a delay of 2.5 seconds and it takes 3 attacks from heroes to destroy it or 6 attacks from towers. The stun duration can increase to up to 2.9 seconds if you use the level 15 talent. When cast, the missile is placed 150 range in front of Gyrocopter. The homing missile has an initial speed of 500 and it's increasing by 15 per second, increasing by 1 movement speed every 0.7 second, if you wanted to know. The speed acceleration is not capped and continues to increase until it hits the target or is destroyed. If the missile target dies, it automatically switches to the nearest valid target within 700 range of the previous target. This includes creeps, neutral creeps or heroes. If there are no other valid targets, it is instantly destroyed. The missile can be pushed back by items like Hurricane Pike. So if you use it on an enemy, the enemy has the chance to use Hurricane Pike to get away from the missile and also destroy it in the flying path.
My mind.
Another thing that works is the Psychic Headband.
Firing and
This way.
forgetting.
As well as the normal 4 stuff. Even though it's kinda counterintuitive because you're gonna push the target into where you're standing already.
So be it.
Maneuvering.
If you have the Force Boots, the missile is instantly destroyed.
Firing and
Way ahead
forgetting.
of you.
And the same thing
Repositioning.
is true for the Chronosphere.
My path unspoons.
I dare you to run.
How embarrassing.
What's that?
The rocket can be upgraded by the shard, and it adds the Rocket Barrage to the rocket, chasing the enemy.
Just
Looks like that.
Inexorable.
This Rocket Barrage prioritizes its current target over other units. Although the missile launches the Rocket Barrage, the damage is sourced to Gyrocopter and not the homing missile. Therefore, the damage is affected by outgoing damage, manipulation and spell lifesteal. If you combine this with Grimstroke Soulbind, then the second homing missile is launched after the first hits its target or is destroyed. Flak Cannon is an ability that allows you to hit all the enemy targets in a certain radius.
deploying.
It increases Gyrocopter's nighttime vision range to 1000 upon cast. It causes Gyrocopter to perform instant attacks on all nearby enemies whenever he launches an attack projectile. This means it does not matter if the attack is successful or not. The instant attacks do not trigger attack modifiers or any on-hit effects. They do not have True Strike. The projectiles from the active instant attacks travel at a speed of 800, and the Flak Cannon has no count limit. All valid nearby targets get targeted. The primary attack target is not affected by Flak Cannon, it is only hit by the primary attack. It does not affect couriers, wards, buildings, invisible units, or units inside of the Fog of War. However, attacking couriers, wards, buildings, and stuff like that still causes flags to hit all valid targets within the search radius. The visual effect above Gyrocopter and the number of attacks left on the buff icon are visible to everyone.
Attack!
The Aghanim Scepter gives you a side gunner that passively attacks enemies in your range.
Speak up!
The fire rate is 1.2 and the side gunner attack radius is 700.
Diverting!
The attacks are actually going on the furthest target within the 700 radius. The instant attacks can trigger any attack modifiers and on-hit effects normally, except for Flak cannon while it is active. They do not have true strike but ignore disarms. It does not attack wards, couriers or attack immune enemies, but it does target buildings. It only targets units Gyrocopter has vision over. And finally we get into the level 6. Call Down is an ability that basically nukes the area with 2 rockets. The ulti provides a 4-second 300 radius flying vision at the targeted area upon the cast. The first missile impacts 2 seconds and the second missile impacts 4 seconds after the cast. The first missile has a slow of 30%, the second missile a slow of 60%. The first missile also has less damage than the second one. The missiles first apply their debuffs, then their damage. Successive movement speed slows debuffs refresh each other. The big red area indicator is visible to allies only. The sound effects are audible and the missiles are visible to everyone. You can upgrade the missile with the level 25 talent, and this enables you to get a vector target into the direction that you want your next ultis to go in. So you're going to have 3 ultis in total and you can decide in which direction they are moving. Even if Gyrocopter dies, as soon as the spell is casted, it cannot be stopped in any way. So all of the 3 ultis are coming down. Let's jump into a replay and we're going to watch a Gyrocopter player who is at rank 500 and he has a 90% win rate on Gyrocopter. And usually if you see high win rates like this, they are teaming up with IOs or anything like that to support him and doing it as a duo combo with an OP setup. But he's playing it solo and he still has a 90% win rate in the last 20 matches, which is just crazy. So as soon as he starts on the laning stage, he's immediately pressing Flak cannon, and this is something we're going to see all game. He's instantly pressing his Flak cannon every single time he's approaching the laning stage and is able to hit the enemy offlaner as well. He's pressing it again, he's throwing aggro. And this is the only thing you have to be aware of. Of course you're going to push, that's the first thing, and the second thing is that you have to secure the range creeps. But other than that, you can just press this continuously, you still get really decent last hits usually, and you have a lot of harass on the enemy offlaners. So here again, look at his positioning. He's positioning himself really nicely, gets the level 2, the rocket, and gets a kill instantly. Let's review this again. So they're fighting a little bit on the side, and it doesn't seem too bad for Night Stalker, but suddenly the rockets are coming in, and the homing missile is just connecting, and he's dead. He blocks the creeps a little bit, and same thing, immediately starts to spam this. We get a Quelling Blade on Gyrocopter, which is really nice if you want to connect the pulse. Your game plan later will be to connect camps like this or like this, and here in this area as well. You can always connect the camps, even here, and the Quelling Blade helps you to do that. Take the CS and the tower. If the range is too far to the enemies, he doesn't need to use the Flak cannon. But as soon as there's a fight going on, as soon as he's able to, he's pressing it again, joins the fight, and he gets another kill. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Really cool opportunity. So his cue to go there was the the Lotus pool that was coming up, and it's almost minute 3, so people are going to fight around it. He uses the wave and drags it towards him even, so he's really in the absolute max range for this, and even catches the line. So nice, really well played. This sort of aggression is what makes Gyro a really strong laner. So yeah, this is basically the concept of the laning stage. As you can see, he already has 3 kills and almost 25 last hits now, before 95 minutes. And he's able to dive this easily now. Really nice aggression, really nice aggression. Again, he's pushing the wave. And then he's just looking to see where his limit is at and how far he can push that into them. Let's ping it again. The awareness for the Lotus is really nice. And he takes every opportunity he gets to play really aggressive. Sadly, his courier died, but he got the Falcon Blade now and the Power Threads, which is also really good timing. You can aim at around minute 7 if you can get both items or at least the Power Threads, then it's a really nice timing. And you can start to be independent from here. As soon as you get level 7, it's really easy to jungle up. He's even pulling the creeps for himself and immediately reconnecting everything again. And this enables him to farm the creep wave and this camp and harass the enemy offlaner at the same time. It's just really nice. He decides to dive this, doesn't quite get the kill, but threatens him. And now we're starting to pull the camps together. As soon as you don't feel safe on the laning stage anymore, which was right now because Venge just left him and it's like, okay, I'm going to play on other sides of the map, then it's very easy for him to rotate into the jungle, push out waves and play really safe. He's looking at mid. I like this awareness. So he's looking at mid and he's thinking about a fight here. And this is something that Gyro can punish really easily. Gyro has the ability to teamfight extremely well with his ulti and his homing missile. So he can join team fights. If the enemies overextend like this, and you know that you have a couple heroes here that provide some sort of team fight control, you can always join fights like that. I think if he would have had a TP off cooldown ready, he would have joined even with the TP there. Now he can keep hitting the Night Stalker, and with his Flak cannon, he still gets the Phantom Assassin kill as well. Catches himself a triple kill by being early in the active game. Super nice. Immediately he rushes the Arcanum Scepter because he has a really nice game, and now he's looking to boost his own net worth as much as he can. One thing we want to keep in mind as a Gyrocopter, we want to ask our team constantly to stack the triangle. We want to have stacks as much as we can. Every single stack that we get in the game is going to benefit us enormously. And of course, I'm going to show you an ideal game where basically everything works perfectly. If you don't have that, then it's going to be a little bit more struggle, but at least we see what the perfect scenario would be and what a nice idea would be. And of course, his teammates follow his lead and they stack for him really nicely and he can just farm it up. So at this point, we just spam every spell that we have. And notice how he's farming this camp first, or basically he's only farming this camp and uses his Flak cannon to damage the Ancients. He doesn't want to tank the Ancients. He's not tanky enough to fully tank the Ancients. That's why he's going for that camp and getting the other kills with his abilities. From this, we can rotate to the next farm. He even looks for a team fight. But now we're just boosting net worth. We want to finish our Arcanum Scepter and maybe 1 or 2 items more, and then we can go and get the kills. He's even using the ulti as soon as he realizes he's not team fighting right now anyways. He's looking for the ult. Joins team fights only if he knows that they're winning. This is something very important as a carry player. Carry players, they are measured on the 3 team fights they're joining and the 3 team fights they are not joining. If you join the wrong team fights, your probability of losing is crazy, and if you don't join really good team fights, then you're leaving out potential that the hero has. And figuring out when exactly you can go into the team fights is really important. For Gyrocopter and many carries, it's easy to judge. You just go for the ones that are very safe. If you're if you're having the feeling I can clean up this team fight and I can get some easy kills because my teammates did most of the work and most of the enemy spells were used already, then it's a good one to go for. Once he has his Aghanim's, this is the first time we see him pushing buildings. And then he's just looking to boost up his next items. He uses ulti to farm the camps. If they're stacked, I think this is definitely worth it. He gets even more stacks. This is a crazy, crazy nice game for Gyrocopter. And suddenly, we're playing against a Gyrocopter with 120 last hits almost, who has his Aghanim Scepter and the Chrysalis. And with those items, he's pushing. Now we're getting into the zone where we basically want to threaten enemies and we want to dare them to fight with us. If you have such a huge lead, we want to be dangerous. We don't want to be farming at the top areas right now where our Bat Rider is, or just being AFK at the Ancients for too long. We want to use every power spike that we can get into the game. So he's taking mid lane tower. And as soon as there's some aggression coming up, some TPs are rolling in, he's just like, cool, fair enough. I'm just gonna connect the two camps again. I'm gonna boost my net worth. I'm gonna rotate a little bit. And I think this here is the only time where he dies in the game. And what's happening is that his teammates are overcommitting quite a bit. They think that they can kill the PA. Even if that kill happens, everybody on the map is missing and the fight is very difficult. So let's see what happens here. He's getting caught. Even though Venge swaps him, he's playing against Pango and Night Stalker and they have the ability to close the gap. Look how close this was though. Look how close this was. That was an extremely close fight already, even though it was completely out of position and all of the enemies had the ability to really dive him and get their spells on him. So what we want to do at this point, we want to finish our Satanic and play it safe and look for the next item timing that's coming. As soon as he's getting the Satanic, the fight becomes so much more easier and you can actually approach the high ground. So he's farming up a little bit. And the goal is to play it very disciplined and play it very slow. So there was a aggression that was made from his teammates and he was in the range to play with it. But you don't want to overcommit for things that you don't see. You don't want to play into enemy high ground without any vision. And you usually want to structure your plays around an objective. None of that was really the case here, so we didn't commit for that. He sees some enemies mid lane, which is fine. We're just gonna get and take the next stacks that we have. He's still farming. We want to be looking at our Satanic here. We have it shortly. Maybe a couple more Ancients, and then we're good to go. And then I'm excited to see how his approach of the game changes as soon as he has the next power spike. So we get the Satanic, and now we're basically good to go. Cleans up the Ancients because he's there, so it doesn't hurt. And now he's moving towards his team, and we're moving towards the tower. And this is the first time we see him ping a enemy tower. And with this subtle communication, everything is ready to go. And now we've been talking about that Gyrocopter is really great with a couple of supports that enable him to stay alive, and Venge is one of the supports. So the job of Venge is just to sit in the back and let Gyrocopter push, and once he gets close to dying, if he doesn't press Satanic or doesn't survive with Satanic, we just swap him out and reset the fight. This is the only plan that we have in this game. So he's pushing the tower, and this is perfect. This is absolutely perfect. This goes out to all the support players that you have. If you're a support player, your job here is not to push the tower. Your job is to be hidden and wait until they overextend on Gyrocopter or they lose the tower. This is the only thing that's happening here. So we just want to be sitting around Gyrocopter, around our strong hero. Pedra TP's out. Cliff has been used. He's still deciding to finish the tower because he has Venge with him and Grimstroke. And now we have a couple of options. We can either go pressure the next objective on the mid lane straight at, or we can take Roche. I think Roche is the more elegant and more beautiful option here. Because once we have the Aegis, there's actually not that much that can go wrong. As you can see, he's queuing up his next item. It's a damage item, and this is the only thing that he really needs. Once you have the Aegis, this is a interesting thing that I see many times. People get the Aegis and they instantly rush to the fight. They don't hesitate and they don't do anything, they instantly rush for it. And this is still better than doing nothing with the Aegis, but if you have a power spike coming up, if you know that the next item is going to help you a lot in the fights, then you can still wait and you can get the item because it lasts for 5 minutes, so you're not under any pressure. You just want to make sure to use it aggressively before it expires, of course. He's getting a bottle from his teammates to pick up double damage. This is also something really nice that we don't see too much in lower rank MMR games, but I think it's always cute to see how well he's taken care of with his teammates. Again, I'm pointing out that this is the ideal situation for him, but this guy has a 90% win rate. Many games are not perfect gyro games where his teammates understand that they should stack all the time and sit behind him and where they have avenge spirit, but this is how the game can look like. You can actually influence all of those things. You can communicate to your teammates that they should stack, and you can communicate even the picks to your teammates. Many support pickers are very versatile, they can pick many heroes. So now he sees Bane and Night Stalker and Pango, and he knows that Venge is sitting behind him. So there's really no threat for him, and he's immediately going towards the high ground. What he wants to do now is he wants to finish the game. It's only 23 minutes into the game, but he's looking to finish already. So Bane is going at him, which delays this a little bit. Pango is going at him, delays his shit as well. He's popping the Satanic, was a little bit late, or he couldn't quite get out the damage, but that's why we have the Aegis. And now they use their spells, they don't have to roll anymore, and he can go into high ground straight again. Grimstroke ulti is used, they manage to close the gap, some cores die, and he's focusing the buildings. This is important here now, you only want to focus the buildings, you don't want to dive as a gyro. Your strength is to push the buildings. And from the buildings you can use the Flak cannon. As you can see, as soon as important heroes show, or creeps are there, he's pushing with the Flak cannon. He's pinging the tower again. We have to wait for the creep wave. But he's sticking around in the area. He knows that he's the strongest hero on the map right now. That's why he wants to go in and wants to play immediately. Again, he goes high ground, and he's just going to be the guy that tanks. His item with the damage just fits his build really nice, and it also fits his power spike. With the Flak cannon, he has the ability to zone off enemies really easily. And this is another set of Rex. Now we have a couple of options. We can go for the finish, or we can just go and push safely top. If we push safely top, the advantage that we have is we can even look for another Roche timing, we can get a pick off, and we can finish our item. The disadvantage or the risk that is occurring is exactly what is happening. The enemies can smoke and they can punish that. So the enemies have a chance here. As soon as they see Gyro TP, they know the only real threat is the Gyro, because all of their team focus their time into stacking and into boosting the Gyro. So if he's not there, they can actually smoke and get a couple of kills. So let's see what's happening here. They're immediately retreating on Grimstroke and Batrider. So they're retreating, they're getting into the back and sitting behind Gyrocopter again, and then the same strategy just starts from the beginning. The enemies did smoke and they initiate, and they try to disrupt the Gyrocopter and get the kills on the support in the backline. As you can see, they try to lock down the Gyrocopter, they go into support, supports have Ghost Scepters already, which is great. They get soul binded, and now Gyrocopter is able to put out his damage, and suddenly their cores die. They don't manage to succeed with their smoke gank, and now the game becomes really difficult. 5x are used, and Gyrocopter basically resetted fully. He's low on mana, but he doesn't need that much mana to push, and he's off to push the last Rex. Just sitting in front, tanking it. Teammates create a little bit of space, and he's finishing the game with the mega set he has here. There might be one last fight that's occurring, and then the game is basically over. Satanic is there, the damage is there, he's difficult to kill because of the butterfly. Gets a rampage in the end. Absolutely amazing gameplay. Okay, so this is the basic plan that we have for the game. This is the basic strategy that we want to get into the game, and the enemy's job is to put everything in their power against that. They want to stop you from doing exactly that, and if they don't manage to do this, you just win your games. Good. Let me summarize then to finish this up what's strong about Gyrocopter, especially in this patch. In this patch we have a lot of new camps that we've had not seen before, especially in the older patches. We just didn't have the opportunity to farm all of the side camps. In this patch it's very easy to connect creep camps together so you can boost your net worth. It's also really beneficial for the support and the core to stack the ancients, and many heroes that Gyrocopter is strong against are naturally not as strong in this patch as they used to be. So if you get your item timings correctly on Gyrocopter, you can really solo win the games, and I think that's why we see him so much in the pro scene as well. It's just an amazing hero right now. Definitely give it a try. With this, I hope you enjoyed the analysis. I hope you enjoyed the skill builds. Leave me your feedback. Let me know what you want to see next, and I'm super happy to have you here. See you around.